Hey guys, so today we have a fun video. We are going to be talking about color correcting. I think when most people think of color correcting, they think of something like this. This is a palette I picked up from NYX. There's other kinds that you can get from other brands, but I think this one is actually pretty popular. So we are going to talk about why this is different than Demi Colour by Seint. So let me pull up my big palette. So this is Demi Colour. How is this different than traditional color correcting? Well, we're going to put it to the test. We're actually going to compare and contrast the two. I'm going to put on both of these and we're going to see how they're similar and how they're different. And in the end, spoiler alert, you're going to find out why I think Demi Colour is superior to these types of products. So spoiler alert, I know, but let's check it out. Okay, so I'm going to start with this palette. We are going to do a more traditional color correction makeup look with regular makeup on top of this. So the whole principle behind this type of color correcting is that you use this first under your makeup and you correct any excess color issues that you have in your skin, and then you put your regular makeup on top. And so it's a multi-step process that theoretically will give you a more flawless look. I've never used this product before. I did a little bit of research before sitting down to film this. I watched some YouTube videos seeing how other creators used this product. My favorite video was actually from Vogue, on the Vogue YouTube channel. They did a video with Shay Mitchell, actress Shay Mitchell. I'll put a little photo of it right here. But she says that she uses this all the time, and I really liked watching how she uses this product. So I'm going to take all those tips and tricks that I learned, and I'm going to try to create a look with this how you would normally use it. And you guys, I'm not going to purposely try to make this look bad to make Demi Colour look better or anything like that. I'm genuinely going to try to keep a fresh perspective and use this how I would use this normally. Let's get up close and personal. Okay, here we are. So let's get started. All right, so I think I'll start with the obvious. So we'll start with this green shade. So, I mean, traditional makeup, we've always been taught that you cover red with green because it is the complementary color. So any kind of redness would be like, I have a zit right here, just like the redness around my nose. I have a little bit of redness in my cheeks. I'm going to use the green shade for that. I'm just using a flat brush. This is the Multitasker by Seint. And I'm just going to get that green. It's so bright. Now I'm going to switch and do some color on my under eyes. So my under eyes are like a blue purple shade like most people. So I'm going to use this one right here. This is like an orangey peachy shade, and I'm going to use that on my under eyes. I have some spots of melasma up here that I would like to conceal, so I'm going to use that peachy orange shade up there as well. Okay, I think now I'm going to use this purple lavender shade like Shay did to brighten certain areas of my face. Okay. So I forgot to hit record. I forgot to hit record. I kind of don't want to start over. All right. I don't want to wipe it off and start over, so I'm just going to tell you what I did and I'm going to walk you through it. Okay. So I stopped the video to take a picture of all the colors on my face, and then I was going to record again and I forgot to hit record. So I don't want to wash it off and start over. So I'm going to show you what I did, and you're just going to have to try to follow along. Okay? Okay, gang? So I took my Perfector sponge. You can use any beauty sponge, and I've gotten it wet and I've squeezed all the water out, so it's just damp. It's really spongy. And I took that and I just lightly dabbed over all the color correction. I wanted to shear it out so it wasn't so thick everywhere, so that it was a nice thin layer, but I wanted to keep those crazy colors where I placed them. So I wasn't blending it around. I was just patting into the color correction with this guy just to make sure that it was a little softer and the edges weren't so harsh and that kind of thing. Then I started applying my makeup. I started applying my Seint 3D foundation. And I guess the main takeaway so far is that I just wanted to show that I was really patting the makeup on like this with my brush, because I didn't want to swirl it around and swirl over all those colors that I did. So I'm just patting around with my brushes, applying my makeup on top of the color correction. Okay, now I'm gonna continue. We're gonna finish the face. Follow along. All right, so this is the final look with the color correction from the NYX palette underneath my Seint Cream 3D foundation. So here are my thoughts on this guy. So things I noticed while applying my makeup on top of this. I noticed that in some areas I really had to apply more foundation than I'm used to, or that I usually prefer, to cover up the color. Specifically the green. The green was really hard to cover up, and as you can see, like, you can still kind of see it around my nose. So you can see the green. Otherwise, I feel like I did a pretty good job of covering up everything else. I just really felt like I had to use more product than I would like. So I feel like the result of that is that it's a heavier makeup look. It's gonna have more makeup texture on my skin. Here, I'll try to zoom in or scoot you in so you can see. So this is, I don't know, this is what my skin looks like. It looks pretty flawless, but it's just a lot more makeup than I usually like to use. I had to put a lot of, sorry about my Band-Aid, I cut my finger while I was cooking. But I really had to put a lot of makeup here to cover up this blemish, and I can still see it. You know, I can still see things that I was trying to cover up. And like my under eyes, if you look, I don't know if you can see this, but it already looks kind of cakey and thick under there, which I don't like. But the green around my nose is the worst. I feel like you can still kind of see the redness, but it's just really collecting in the crease of my nose right here. And it still looks green. I really tried to like blend it out and cover it up. I really did. And it just doesn't look right. So what are my thoughts? If you're a full coverage makeup queen and you just really like to have that like flawless, full coverage, more makeup look, and you like to use these kind of color correcting products, like, go girl, like, you do you. I am not judging whatsoever. It's not typically what I prefer in my makeup look, so I don't really think this is for me. But if you like it, I'm not judging at all. I'm not trying to say that it's bad in any way. It's not. It's just different. I think when you have this many layers of product on your skin, the more likely it might be to slip around, and then you might have to add more powder to keep it in place, and then it can start to look cakey. And it just kind of, the more makeup you add, the more problems or issues you may be creating. So that's my final decision on this guy. All right, now I am going to go wash this off, and then I will come back and I'm going to do my Demi Colour makeup, and we're going to discuss why that's a little bit different. Okay, I'm back. I washed off all the makeup, and now we're going to start again. But first, I want to note that when I went to look at my face in the bathroom lighting in my mirror, I was pretty shocked. It did not look good at all. The makeup looked so thick and heavy, and like parts of my face almost looked gray. And then I used a cotton round with micellar water to get most of the makeup off before I washed my face. And the cotton round itself looked gray. Because I don't know if the colors all mixed together and just kind of made gray, maybe. But it did not look very flattering. So I'm glad I washed that off. Okay, now I'm going to do a full face of makeup with my Demi Colour. So this is color correcting makeup, but it's very different than any other color correcting makeup that's ever existed in the past before. So I think the biggest difference between this and this is that this product right here has more of a white pastel base and it has coverage. It's a color correcting concealer. So this is meant to cover the skin. These Demi Colour shades right here are a completely different product. They are pigmented but also sheer, so they're meant to act as a filter on the skin. So they actually filter the excess color that you can see in your skin, effectively changing what you can see in your skin without covering the skin with a pastel product, if that makes sense. Another thing that's a little bit different about this product is that Demi Colour really addresses the excess color in our skin. It filters away the excess color so that the areas that are distracting, like this blemish, can be more in balance with the skin around it. So you're just removing the excess color. All right, so I'm going to do my full face with my Demi Colour makeup. I'm going to start with my contouring and sculpting, and then we'll get started on the filtering. Okay, now that I've done my sculpting, aka contouring on my face, we're going to start with the filtering aspect, which is the color correcting aspect of using Demi Colour. All right, since we were talking about blemishes, let's address this guy right here. So this is a pretty angry new blemish for me. It's super painful. This whole area is pretty inflamed. It still looks to be an excess violet to me, so I'm going to actually use this one right here. This is GY1. It's one of my favorites. It's a yellow, but it has a little bit of a green tint to it. So I'm actually going to use a bigger brush and just get the whole area around the blemish that's inflamed to just try to tone down some of that violet redness. Now I'm going to use my spot brush and be very precise to get more of the center of that blemish. I'm going to use a yellow-orange shade to address some of that blue violet. It's a little bit darker, which means it has some blue in it. So it's a little bit of a blue-violet shade. Nothing covers blemishes or hides blemishes like Demi Colour, because it doesn't add that excess makeup texture on top, and you don't need to set it with powder so it doesn't look cakey. It just hides the color in that blemish. It's actually looking pretty dark. See how there's a shadow poking through that you can still see? I definitely need more orange for that. So I'm going to use some OY1, some orange. And as you can see, it's gone. Isn't that neat? I still have some swelling, like you can kind of see there, because there's nothing I can do about that, but you can't see the excess color in my skin now. So now it looks invisible to the eye. Let's get this redness around my nose. This is what I used the green for before, and it was completely unsuccessful. So I'm going to use my Demi Colour on this area. So this right here is actually a blue violet. It's kind of dark, especially in the fold of my nostril right here. So I'm going to use another orange yellow shade. This is a pretty vibrant one. And I'm just gonna lightly use that to filter away the more dark blue violet that I can see. It's a little bit more of like an icy, it looks like blue under my skin. But as you can see, it's just erasing how distracting that redness was around my nostril. So now I'm going to switch colors, and I'm going to get this down here. This is more of a vibrant violet shade. So I'm going to use that same green yellow. I'm using the lightest touch and the smallest amount of makeup possible to just completely erase that distracting redness around my nose. So the really great thing about using Demi Colour makeup is that it's a very sheer product and you need just such a small amount of it that it's not going to crease in the fold of my nose. I don't need to set it with powder. If you use just the smallest amount, it's going to stay put all day. One thing that really helps with Demi Colour is making sure that you're not using too much product. You want it to look more like you're wiping the distraction away rather than covering it with makeup. We're not trying to cover anything. We're trying to change the color we can see. All right, another really cool thing you can use Demi to do is to tone a larger area of your skin. Most of Demi Colour is going to be dealing with small little spots, little points that you want to erase. But me, for example, I have a lot of discoloration in this portion of my face. I have a lot of excess green around my mouth. And a lot of that is just there's some veins under the skin that you can see and like some melasma-ish sun damage on my upper lip, that kind of thing, that just gives a very yellow appearance. It's like a yellow green. So what I like to do is take a fluffy end of one of my small brushes and I'm going to use this color right here. This is R1. It's a light pink shade. So I'm going to erase that excess green yellow around my mouth by toning with my Demi Colour. So I'm going to get the small fluffy side of my brush and I have a tiny amount of pink on there. You can't even see it. And I'm just going to tone this area. So I'm just lightly fluffing my brush over these areas that look really yellow-green to me. Normally, I wouldn't advise using Demi on a large area like this, but if you're doing it in this manner where you're just toning the skin and you're just trying to adjust the color that the eye can see of a large area, you can get away with it. As long as you're adding the lightest layer of color possible, it won't crease and it won't look visible. So I don't know if you can tell the difference. It's very subtle, but that's what Demi Colour is. The power is in the subtlety. So now it just looks a little bit more even toned, a little bit more neutral. All right, let's tackle the under eyes. Most people have excess blue under their eyes. Most people. I think a lot of people say they have purple under eyes, but really what you're seeing is excess blue. Anything that creates darkness or a shadow is blue. So you're going to want to use an orange Demi Colour shade, probably from this whole corner right here. So I'm going to use O1, pretty much just O1. Okay, so now as you can see, I just erased the little points under my eyes that were causing some shadow, some darkness, and it just makes my whole eye area look brighter around it. But I used minuscule amount of product, so it's not going to crease or settle in my fine lines, and I don't need to put powder on it or anything like that, and it's just gonna look a little bit brighter and more youthful. Okay, now I'm going to use some color to correct this melasma that I have on my forehead. As you can see, I have these sort of dark spots. Most melasma and hyperpigmentation is actually excess green in the skin, so I'm going to use the complementary color of pink on them. This is R1. So as you can see, it looked like I just erased those spots. All right, the last thing I'm gonna do is just grab a couple of these little healing blemishes and little acne scars and things just to make it look a little bit more smooth. With Demi Colour, I don't need to correct every single spot on my face. You just need to find the most distracting spots and then the rest of them should look less distracting. right, I'm pretty much done. I'm just gonna add a little bit of blush to my cheeks. All right, I'm pretty much done. I'm just going to add a brow a little bit here. Okay, this is my final makeup look with my Demi Colour. So the coolest thing about Demi Colour is, as you can see, it's invisible. You can't see it on the skin whatsoever. It feels like you're not wearing anything. This is 90% my actual skin without anything on it. So it's just, it feels like me. I hope now it's clear what the differences are between like a traditional color correcting product and Demi Colour, why they're similar but also why they're different. I obviously prefer the Demi Colour. I know you could probably see that coming. I just think there's nothing like it. You can also use Demi Colour as like a little bit of an additional color correction underneath your makeup, just like with traditional color correcting. So you can always try that avenue as well. If you'd like to get started with Demi Colour, but you're just not sure which colors to order based on your specific skin concerns, you can fill out my Demi Colour match form through the link below, and I will send you a complimentary consultation with some colors that I think would work well for your skin. If you have any questions, you can send me a message or comment them down below, and I will do my best to help. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new today, and I'll see you next time. Bye!